Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday night Tyyni Nightly Recap. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with commentator extraordinaire Thomas.
Well, thank you, sir. It's good to be here again.
Oh, it is good to be here. Our first day is underway, and of course, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what both you and I saw out on the course. Maybe we'll even talk about some of the play. You managed to get some golf in yourself, didn't you?
Yes, I did, in the morning, and there will be plenty more to come.
Okay. Well, this morning, everyone started, on our MPO and FPO side, I should say. The FPO division started out over at Nevis.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Nevas.
I was going to say that second. Okay, Nevis is where we started. A great battle, a great competition going on out there, and it was a very international card. And I know we talked about that briefly last night, but to have 4 different countries represented was a really cool experience. Even for myself as a cameraman, it was great to see. And then you joined right around hole 10?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
11 was the first one that I had the mic on.
And you were out there, and you were able to then assist in the live feed as I was doing the post-production. And you were assisting in the live feed and able to call shot by shot. Everyone was able to then consume it that way. Now, excuse my ignorance here. Was that on Facebook and YouTube? Was that in both places, or was that just on?
Just YouTube. Just YouTube.
Okay, it was on YouTube. Awesome. Well, let's start there. What did you see in the back half of that course?
What I did see was some changing conditions. I'm not only talking about the rain, but I think one of the key things, actually not so much on the feature card, but I was also following the 2 previous cards for a while before I joined you. For example, seeing Lykke Sandvik, who is now tied for first together with Kristin Tatar. I was watching her play, as well as Jenni Eskelinen, who is also there in the top 3 right now. I was watching them play, and the one thing that really stuck out to me was that my prediction from yesterday was actually kind of correct. There were some small, I wouldn't call them holes, but like depressions in the golf fairways. Mm-hmm. And because of the rain, since it had been raining also during the night, some of the parts were really soft while others were really fast. So it could depend on, say, half a meter of a difference between where your disc landed, and you could either be completely sucked up by the ground, having no skips whatsoever, or sliding forward super quick. And I think that is one of the things that the players would really have to. I can imagine it being mentally relatively challenging that you're throwing a perfect shot and then you just get an unlucky break and your disc just sticks there. And that is one of the things I was witnessing. Other than that, I was extremely impressed watching the feature card, and I think Kristin Tatar, who played very well, in my opinion, also benefited a great deal of her excellent distance.
Yeah, and she said later on in the afternoon that she didn't feel like her putting was quite on, but she was putting herself into positions that some of the other women just simply couldn't get to. As you're mentioning, the advantage that she has with the distance and the accuracy usually that goes along with it. It was interesting to hear her talk a little bit afterwards when she said that she is elated. She's excited to go into a much more wooded and technical course even tomorrow. She likes that she's got big distance and good drives on this open course, and she is in no way scared to attack a very different course tomorrow at the Ford course.
Exactly. The Ford course will be a whole new challenge. Distance helps. Again, as it usually does on the pro courses, but Ford is extremely wooded and it's extremely technical, and I think that's going to be such a blast to just follow them and watch them play that course, especially because the weather forecast is improving for tomorrow. And also I'd like to continue from the same subject or same topic we were discussing yesterday, that as soon as we move to Ford, I think the European players, or let's say those players who are more accustomed to playing tight wooded holes, such as the Scandinavian players, they are probably going to have a bit of an edge going into tomorrow compared to, say, for example, View or Tina.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question to follow that line of thought is, me not traveling around here, this is the first time that I've really been over here, over to Europe for disc golf. What would you say these Finnish courses are very similar in a lot of the surrounding countries? Is this kind of what we should expect in terms of the wooded golf, or a mixture, or...
It depends. It depends on where you go, but I would say, in particular, in Scandinavia and Estonia, there's a lot of variety between playing open distance types of holes and then going into the woods. Actually, when we were doing the live commentary today and the live broadcast today, there were people commenting, and I remember one comment from an I guess he was a viewer from the U.S. Based on that comment, but he said, "I love the look of those Scandinavian woods." and I agree with him, because they're very, very pretty, but on top of that, they provide a very nice and unique challenge, because if you have leaves on those trees, you will still have space and you have possibility to penetrate through them, even if you kind of shank your shot. But then we have those pine trees and Christmas trees, and they are like tar. They eat up your discs faster than you can say ouch. So it's like, I think it's unique to the Northern Europe, in that sense, and therefore I'm guessing the Finns will probably have a little of a home advantage.
Well, and speaking to someone like Tina, for instance, who obviously travels around the U.S., it's almost as if we have pockets or regions where tree coverage is obviously more or less prevalent. We start out in Arizona, where things are very relatively wide open, and then as you know, more, and then also over into Texas, we'll say things are a little bit longer, more wide open. But then as we headed up into the Northwest, when we were at someplace like Beaver State just a few weeks ago, that's a little bit more of what we were seeing here, or what we'll see at least for the next two courses, as opposed to now today, when we were over at Neves, that was, we'll say, kind of like a glass-blown open country club style course.
I agree.
Golf course, a few rolling hills, but for the most part, you have plenty of room to work with out there. And one of the things that I noticed is the pace of play today was very comfortable. And that was mainly, I feel like, because even if you did throw an errant shot, although there were very few, an errant shot wasn't going to be very punishing, as opposed to really having to scramble to get out of the rough, or to really have to fight for a position one way or another. There was a little bit more room, so maybe it was a good day to kind of work into the weekend, because things are going to tighten up from what I hear at that Ford course. You
are absolutely correct with that one, and I'm personally very excited about Ford, because it is, as I've mentioned before, it's one of the courses that is actually sponsored by another sponsor of the Tyyni event in itself, which is really, really cool, like we were talking about yesterday. And then also the way the fairways are shaped at Ford, so that they are tight, but they reward hitting your lines and they reward hitting your angles. But then again, they can also punish if you're a bit off. And I think that is fair, because disc golf practically or in practice is a game of skill, and skill is, to me, is more than just being able to mash 550-foot drives. Now,
Tina had a really interesting point as we were coming back from today's round, and she had said, well, usually when we talk about having a more technical course, the length isn't necessarily there. But I hear Ford is it just as long or even longer than this morning's course?
It's about the same length as this one is, except now we're in the woods.
Okay. That's all. I will just say, since I have not had a chance to visit it yet, and I'll be there in about almost exactly 12 hours to the very moment, I'm very interested to see just how challenging it is, because it sounds brutal.
I wouldn't,
but fair. Brutal but fair. Is that a good way to put it, or not?
I think that is I think yes, that is a good way to put it. Although I think brutal is kind of harsh, if you really think about it. Okay. Because, for example, myself, I love that course.
Okay.
Exactly because of the fact that it's pretty, it's challenging, it's fun to play, and then you're guaranteed to see things.
All right. Well, before we move over to the men's side, I would love to touch on, because I know it's something that we talk about a lot, and we talked about it last night briefly, the outside sponsorship And I recall even asking you how I said, like Ford, like the actual like Ford company. How does Ford play into the mix here again in partnering with the event and being part of it?
Ford is very enthusiastic about disc golf, especially here in Finland. And one of the first things, or the partnerships that how it started, was that Ford and Tyyni got together, and then Ford got so excited that they just decided to sponsor a course. And now we're playing that course tomorrow, their namesake course. And I think that is just in itself a pretty awesome thing.
It is, and hopefully maybe some of that enthusiasm, or maybe some of the people here will have conversations back with our friends in the U.S., and maybe we can see some of that growth and expansion even happen there. Here I am getting all excited about our opportunities, but you guys are doing really good things here, and if there's anything that we can certainly copy or emulate back home, that's one of them that I'd love to see, because that's incredible. And I've even had, besides myself, I've had a handful of other people reach out and ask that very question. Like, they were really in awe and shock that such a big company is interested in disc golf the way that they are here. I'm going to go on a quick side note or tangent to that point. It feels like when I've been here, along with my good buddy Johnny Rumble, it feels as if branding and logos and brand recognition, would you say that you feel like it's very prevalent here? Is that a European thing? Where does that come from? Because we see so many logos and brands on the side of buildings where it feels like, I mean, of course you want to acknowledge what building it is, you know where a McDonald's is and so on and so forth, but it feels like there's even an extra effort in terms of branding. Am I imagining that?
I wish I would have something to offer as an answer to that question, because I really don't have that much of a comparison to it, but yeah, I guess so.
Oh, we coming in from control
behind
center.
The mixer.
Yes.
Yeah, Juha here. I actually have the different opinion on that because I have been in US four times, and every time I always wonder why there is so much more like signs and logos everywhere. So it kind of looks like if you drive in the highway here, there is hardly any advertisement.
That's true.
There are
because
no
it's
advertisements.
illegal.
Yes. Okay. It's illegal. Okay.
So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. No, that's very interesting. I guess I feel like even though there's a mall or shopping center that I know we've gone by, and it felt like every single company that's in there had an equally sized logo on the side of the wall. And I thought that was really interesting because most of our malls, I feel like the big anchor stores are the largest ones. You might be able to see them from the side, but you would never see on the side of one of our malls a Burger King logo. And I'm like, a little Burger King? Like, they have their own logo, right? And it's just as big as the next company. I found that to be pretty interesting.
I think that's pretty good customer service, basically.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. Much easier to navigate your way around the malls in here.
It definitely is. All right, so that was something. Anything else on the FPO side? Well, let's pull up some scores. I like to cheat a little bit. I'm going to take a look at the scores. As everyone has known, UDisc Live is here and available for MPO and FPO, which is awesome. The extra statistics and details. I know you guys are very accustomed to another system here, but as we're watching UDisc Live continue to grow and expand as well, it's so great to have everything that they do.
I'd like to actually, now that you mentioned UDisc Live, I want to give a shout out to all of the volunteers today who are following these groups, helping the UDisc people by marking the play-by-play scores and allowing the people at home to follow the action as it took place. It is no small feat to go follow a new card after you've played your round, for example. So shout out to the volunteers. Thank you.
Yes, and I guess, again, that's something I've almost taken for granted that we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years in the U.S. is additional volunteers, or maybe, like you said, someone that completed their round, or sometimes it's a caddy for one of the players, whoever it might be. A simple 30 or 60-second tutorial on the UDisc app will walk you through you don't enter really any information. You simply just hit a slider or hit a button, and it tells you, it gives you the options, and then you select from there. So it's relatively simple to do, but the fact that someone's dedicated to walk around for the entire round and make these mental notes to then enter them in the app, that's the only way that we would have all these great statistics and things that are fed into.
Exactly. And I would like to compliment Josh and the people at Udisk on that one, because the user interface for your casual rounds when you're using Udisk uses that exact same approach to marking down the scores. So the more people get used to using that on their daily rounds, the easier it is in these bigger events also for like anybody who volunteers to just step in and start keeping scores. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, what they've have done and continue to do is great. So a huge shout out, of course, to Matt and Josh, and I believe Monica is here this week as well, along with Josh. So it's great to have them actually on site, as they've been stationed in London and usually are remoting in from so far away as to everything in the U.S. So it's great to have them here and on site. So if we take a look, I'll share the screen with you, even though you probably have all this memorized. We take a look, our top 4 competitors. We could start there. You mentioned Kristen, and then from Norway,
Lykke Sandvik. Lykke. Just call her Lykke.
Lykke.
It's gonna be difficult for you, but that was close enough. Let's put it that way. What I know from social media so far was that when the live scores were going in, and when people were seeing how Lykke was playing, there's apparently gonna be a nationwide party going on currently due to her playing this well. She has only began her rise to the top ranks very recently. I think within the last 2 years or so, and therefore I found it extremely exciting to see her play that well, especially now that she is tied with Kristin for first place and playing in the feature card, or lead card in this case, during tomorrow. Also, another thing that really stands out if you look at the scoreboard is that from our feature card, we only have one player
that remained
for tomorrow. And even though, for example, Antonia was playing really well today at Nevas, she was looking comfortable, making important shots and all of that, she's still tied for 5th currently, and is going to continue playing on the second card tomorrow. And then View and Tyyni are in 13 and 14 currently, so they will be playing in the 4th card.
Yes.
Starting tomorrow. So I found that one to be extremely interesting, and also that there are Swedes, Finns, Estonians, and Norwegians. So all the Scandinavians who kind of have an edge, because we're playing sort of a home match in this case, as well as, of course, Kristen is also from Estonia. So I feel that the home advantage played one part today, and it was really fun to see that the can we call them chase cards, like during round 1? I don't know the proper terminology in this one.
Yeah, after round 1 you can certainly call it a chase card. Yeah.
But during round 1 anyway, the cards that we're playing before our feature card, I think it's super exciting to see the players rise up from those cards and really challenge for that lead card spot for tomorrow. And also the differences aren't big at all.
No.
Currently.
No, and that's a great segue to looking at the scores. And of course, these are still all on Udisk Live. You can always go back and take a look. And that even means, from years ago, you can always go back and take a look at previous rounds. The tie for the lead is at +1.
Yes.
Sitting at +2, Jenny, okay. Jenny sits at +2, and then is that Maurice, okay, sits at +3. So you're looking at just the 2 strokes on the lead card separating them. And then right there in the 5th spots are Antonia and Sophie, who are sitting at +4. So 3 strokes separate the top 5 spots.
Exactly.
Very, very competitive out there.
It's still anyone's game.
It very much is. And one thing that I also look at when I see some of the statistics on Udisk, the one that jumps off the page most to me is just this smattering of blue, and blue meaning birdies or dark blue meaning eagles, but a smattering of blue. No woman in the field had more than 2 birdies out here today.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see that change tomorrow?
I'm hoping,
Okay.
but it depends. It really depends on whether or not the ladies are hitting the lines that they want to hit tomorrow. That's all it takes. If you are accurate off the tee, then we are probably going to see twos. But that's what it takes. It's not so much the distance game, but really the accuracy game.
Okay, well, it will be great to see that out there. And I have to comment briefly just on Kristen's round of the top four that I saw. Kristen having a great round. The hardest rain that came down at any point during the round today was on hole 17, and that's where Kristen took her double bogey.
Yes.
She threw an errant tee shot that then kind of leaked out to the left. Actually, it looked like she turned it over too much, and then it cut rolled to the left. She found the out of bounds, and then wasn't able to get up and down from there to save the bogey. So that's when she walked away with the double bogey. I would say, yes, she had one other bogey on hole 7, but outside of that, I mean, that was really the only blemish, true mistake that I saw her make. She missed a few putts that, maybe you would normally see her make, but she was really, really clean throughout that round.
I agree, and it was impressive to watch partly because of the weather, because the weather was playing its part the entire day. Also, I'm using another segue here, but also for the MPO, and even more, I would say, for the MPO. So the weather was playing tricks with our players today, and therefore seeing Kristen play that solid throughout like 16 full holes and then just make one mistake on one hole and then immediately correct that on the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really nice.
It was. And just for one comparison point of view, before we head off the FPO conversation, Kristen in the last 4 holes went 2 over. Tied with her, Luca went 2 down in the last 4 holes. So that's kind of just an interesting tale how they both finished out the round. 2 over versus 2 down. Quick math tells me that's 4 strokes just in those last 4 holes. So, we'll see if anything carries over, whether you call it momentum or maybe confidence or just being able to close out a round one way or another. And these fierce competitors, we'll see how that unfolds tomorrow along with the rest of the card. Also, the FPO field having 16 women and 4 cards, that puts them all within a 1-hour time frame roughly of being on the course. Now, you just mentioned a moment ago that on the men's side, there were gentlemen teeing off hours and hours before our 3:30 or 3 o'clock feature card.
Yeah, 3:10.
3:10. So you feel like the weather certainly played a bigger factor for our MPO side today?
Yes and no. It was actually, there's an anecdote from the live commentary, because when we were walking around earlier and the other groups were playing, there were showers, there were drizzles, there were wind gusts, all kinds of weather action going on. And then when the feature card started going from hole 1, I think it was somewhere along hole 3, 2 or 3, the skies went blue, the sun came out. It was very nice, very calm, very warm, and I said on the commentary that this is going to give an edge to these players compared to the wet conditions we had before. And about 7 minutes later, we had the biggest showers we've experienced the entire day.
Good job.
And it continued the entire way to hole 17. And then the skies cleared again during hole 17. So
we know who to blame.
Yeah, it was me. I niced the weather.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So much for nice weather. Wow. Okay. Well, and is that something that we're going to see throughout the weekend in terms of very, quickly changing, rapidly changing weather patterns or conditions? Is that something that's normal here?
It is normal here, but according to the weather forecast, we're going to have less drastic changes in the next 2 days. But of course, forecasts are only forecasts, and then things can happen. So we'll see. But I'm hoping at least that we will be experiencing a bit steadier and drier and warmer weather for the next 2 days. unless I iced it again.
I was going to say, I would not complain about that. I had the umbrella up for 2 or 3 holes, and then I would be able to take it down for no more than 1 hole at a time. And then I'd have it back up for a hole or 2, and then maybe for a half a hole I could take it back. It was very inconsistent throughout the entire round.
Yes.
All right, well, let's take a look. If you're ready, we can take a look. I've pulled up the MPO side. Any surprises here as we look at our top 4?
Well, personally, to me, having Mr. Samuel Hänninen in 3rd place and only trailing by, I think, 1 shot, that was a surprise for me because, and I'm very, very sorry, please come shake my hand sometime when you have the time, but I don't actually even know him. This is the first time I see that name. And therefore, that was quite a bit of a surprise. The rest of the guys are relatively familiar when we go all the way up to the top 10, top 8 or so. So I think Samuel was, for me, the biggest surprise. But other than that, fairly straightforward and something that you would also expect.
And Samuel, as I would say, maybe, is rated 994. It looks like he's added 5 points to his rating on the last update, and looks like has played very well, only missing cash in 2 events, and it looks like we're also going to have a scorecard. Wow. So fancy. I knew I didn't ever need Johnny V again. So
sorry, Johnny V.
I'm not. So let's take a look as we were just talking about the top 4. Again, very stark contrast to what we saw on the FPO side, and just that there was a lot more blue, and there's a really dark blue on there, which has to be one of the Tyyni moments of this week thus far. And
yes,
break it down for us as you watched it unfold live.
We were shooting the live coverage about halfway in the middle of hole 18, which is a 220 meter hole, I think. So we're talking somewhere in the ballpark of 750 feet or something. I don't know, somewhere along those lines. And we were watching the players throw some really good looking tee shots and setting up for their birdies. And then Simon Lizotte, that is, was last on the tee. And I saw him throw, and I was going like, okay, he's hugging or he's giving that disc quite a bit of an angle. And it just kept on turning and turning. And then I realized that he's actually attempting to throw a roller. He hit the perfect spot in the perfect angle, and the roller just kept on going downwards, and I thought he was going to even miss the basket and go OB long. And just as I said that aloud, it started fading gently and ended up just inside circle 1.
Wow. And so, to be fair, and I know you're out there, Simon, watching and listening. To be fair, Simon has now at least twice that were very well publicized and noticed. Simon has thrown miraculous tee shots. We think back to 18 at Waco with a putter. We think back to 18 at Throw Down the Mountain a few months ago, where he gets onto the green that no other human could ever do. And both times, Simon's not able to capitalize. Today, 27 feet? Is that a rough estimate?
Yeah, I would say something like that.
And how confident was that putt?
Well, judging a confidence just by looking on the outside is extremely difficult, but the putt was dead center.
Okay.
So
good height, dead center.
Dead center.
Okay, well then I would probably call that confident.
Yeah, me too.
Wow, awesome. And did the crowd erupt? Was it?
Yes, they did. I think the crowd erupted more with the roller than the actual putt.
Sure.
But yeah, there was definitely an eruption. And now that you mentioned the crowd, I also must mention the gallery we had out there today. We had 2 separate galleries following 2 different cards. And again, it's hard to estimate, but I would say we had more than 100 people already during round 1 following those guys around, offering to caddy for them.
Okay.
And all of that. And it's like, it was amazing for us doing the coverage that we actually had to, push people aside and try to navigate our way through the enormous gallery because there's space in Nevas, and all of a sudden it felt super crowded.
Yeah.
And it was so awesome to see. I was talking with Eric Oakley a while ago after the round, and he was also extremely happy about the gallery that was there, and also that he thinks that they had an extremely well, I don't know what's the proper word in English, I'm sorry for this, but the way he described it was that it felt very nice to be playing competitively among a group of like close friends.
Oh.
And he said that it was extremely enjoyable.
Sure, so camaraderie or something along those lines.
And that showed.
Yeah.
Not only to the players themselves, it looked like they were really enjoying themselves despite some pretty horrible weather we experienced during that round, but also the way that the gallery was living and breathing together with the players for the entire 18 holes. It was nice to be there and experience that. I really liked it.
Well, very electrifying. Well, it sounds like we have even the shot here on hand, pulled from the stream earlier today. Let's take a look, and we'll stand down and be able to listen to your commentary as well, I believe.
Even now that I see it the second time, I'm going like, dang, that was a good shot.
Yeah, well, I heard about it. Go ahead. Yes,
yeah, disclaimer, it was taken from YouTube from Lauri Luode shot the footage, so thank you, Lauri.
Well, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. I had heard something about the shot, and then there was a conversation. There was ultimately post made about it back, I believe Dixon Jowers in the U.S. had posted about it on his Facebook page, and then I had to go back and then specifically get it all queued up because everyone was talking about it. What a great way to finish the round! What a great way to finish the day! Like how exciting, and just the enthusiasm and momentum as that can carry us into tomorrow's round. And people will be, I'm sure, wowed again as that secured his spot on the lead card too.
Exactly. That's another thing I was going to mention is that particular shot, because if I remember correctly, Eric Oakley also took a birdie on hole 18. So eagle was the only opportunity, or shooting an eagle 2 on that hole was the only opportunity for Simon to push himself to the lead card past Eric Oakley. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I'm seeing that right now that he did, and Simon ultimately not only, well, he had to tie that score to get there, as there's 3 other 8-unders that tie him that are all on that chase card, but Simon having that European favorable 8332 PDGA number, that's where the tiebreaker goes, hence exactly. Simon finding himself still on that lead card. Okay, so membership has its advantages.
Oh, yes.
I think we can get sued for using that line, but it does have its advantages, so we'll see. Simon will be, again, wowing the crowd, I'm sure. And then his fellow Crush Boy in Eagle McMahon. Anything that you saw out of the ordinary? We talked a little bit yesterday. He had the huge news in withdrawing from Ledgestone, uncertain about his play. He seemed like he was going to be here and ready to go, and he's tied for the lead. Seems like he's ready.
I saw him working with Seth Munsey from Disc Golf Strong before the round, and I think he's taking good care of the tools of his trade currently, because I think that the injury he was battling with during Ledgestone is, I don't know, but I'm guessing it could bother his sidearm game, but at least that was not visible during his round today. He was throwing some really, really good sidearm shots. Okay,
I was going to say, if you had to guess, how many sidearms did you see him throw out there today?
I was too focused on following everything, so I didn't keep score on that one, but I did see him throw a few ones.
Well, my one question for him then would be, is did he did he opt for a backhand at any point where maybe if he was 100% he would have went with a forehand? That would be my only question for him. Let's say he threw 10, would he have really liked to throw 15 of them, but in 5 instances he said, okay, well, I'm going to opt for the backhand? Because in talking to him last week and then knowing a little bit about the withdrawal, it was the sidearms that really did impact and hurt him the most. And so I certainly wonder about that. Now, I'm going to steal a phrase straight from Seth Muncy and Disc Golf Strong. As I talked to him last night, one of the things that he really was trying to drive home, and this goes for Eagle, and this of course goes for so many of our players, is talking about the idea of just that risk management and thinking about what is it worth now to either finish a round or a tournament versus long term. And that's not something just for Ledgestone last weekend and his European trip. That's for all of our athletes. Are you out practicing when maybe you're not fully healed? Are you throwing a shot that doesn't feel 100% comfortable, but you're really trying to dial it in on this one hole? And I think that's a really enlightening way to be looking at the long-term picture. What's your short-term outcome versus, what does this mean for you, next month, next year, or in 10 years? And it was an enlightening conversation to have with Seth about that last night.
Yeah, and we actually continued on similar lines with some players that I was talking with earlier today, where we were just admiring the level of professionalism, like athletic professionalism that has been introduced into the world of disc golf since of late. It is really becoming more and more, I would say, professional, but also very sportsmanlike in the way that our athletes are now handling not only the practice routine, but also the physical preparation that they are doing. And this just is one example.
Well, and I think we're going to continue to see as Seth and others reinforce to our players what it means, long term, and as we're turning this into a more professional activity, and I feel like here, anywhere over here in Europe, you guys already are treating it so much more professional than maybe some of our grassroots in the U.S. have been. But as that continues to grow and we see younger generations getting into it, newer players, and just that respect for the game and for the athleticism and the professionalism. It's great to see all around.
I agree.
It's really interesting. One other thing that I found of interesting note, again, thanks to our friends over at UDisc, where I try to sound clever, but really I just rely a lot on them. If you do a few clicks, you can find out that hole 18 came in today as the single easiest hole on the course relative to par. All right, so it played as what they also say is the 18th most difficult or single easiest. 55% of the field, as in 61 of our players out of 113, birdied or better on that hole, of course, including Simon's Eagle. However, our leader, Eagle McMahon, did not get hole 18, if I recall looking at the scores. So when some people talk about a must-get birdie, that's kind of your definition, in my opinion, of a must-get birdie. When most of the field is getting it, whether it's for a 2 or a 3 or whatever the case might be, that's what I define as a must-get birdie. Kind of interesting to note out there for Eagle. What do you remember what happened?
Yes, and again, I would say that Eagle was the victim of 3 unfortunate feet that forced. So his first shot landed on the right side of the fairway, which isn't bad in itself, but he went about 3 feet underneath one of those thick tar-like pine branches, which means that he couldn't get a proper stance, and he had to do patent pending, so he had to be his back against the basket when he was throwing his approach, which I believe was somewhere around the 210-foot mark or something like that, close to that at least. And he was trying to do a turnover shot that he just couldn't get turned over enough. It flattened a bit too early, and because the slope is going down, and well, it's actually kind of flat, but the slope towards the basket is going down, he just faded early. and therefore he had about an 80-foot putt for his birdie. He gave it a good run, but he just could not sink that one, and then had to settle in for a tap-in par.
Okay, well, when I think about today's scores, we see the 10 unders being, of course, the hot rounds. Yesterday, Eagle McMahon and his partner for the doubles in Eric Oakley, they had 17 under. I think we touched on that briefly. They only missed hole 3, which I can understand missing that one of all the holes. They shot a 17 under. So we're putting the singles into perspective. What I'm really lining up for is, could you take a guess at what you think hot round tomorrow might be?
At Ford, hard to say, mainly because we don't have like a ground level, base level to compare it to, because this is not the ordinary Ford layout. This is the Tyyni Ford layout, and therefore we don't really have a baseline for comparison. But having said that, I would say that I am surprised if the lead card is above, say, -15 on going to Saturday.
Okay, so you're saying that you think 5 under, or somewhere in that 5 to 7 under range, will likely be the best out at Ford tomorrow.
That's,
if I did my math right. You're the one studying for the
that's
PhD
true.
in math.
That's true. But but that's you did your math correct. And,
okay.
And that is just my estimate.
Okay.
Estimate on that. But as I said, we don't have a baseline, so therefore really, really hard to say. But that is something I am. If I had to take a guess, that it's that.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the hot seat for just a second and ask of who we're seeing on chase card or third card. Again, still very competitive here. You're looking at only 2 strokes. I mean, Simon's at -8, and sitting in a tie for 4th, all the way down to a tie for, well, essentially for 24th. Is just that 2 strokes. 6 under is in 23rd, all the way up to the 8 under that's in 4th. Anyone that you know on this list that you're looking for to make a move tomorrow? Is there anyone that stands out? Maybe someone that you feel like has even an extra advantage at this style of a course tomorrow? Someone that just shreds in the woods.
I am an uncurable fanboy of one player to play very well in woods when you need to be both accurate and throw far, and that has to be Seppo Paju every single time. Mm-hmm. But I would not also count out some of the guys who are now tied for 11th. There are people like Jonathan Häme or even Joona Heinonen, who is I think 3rd currently, or somewhere along those lines. I can't remember where he's at the moment. But anyway, those guys, some of those Finnish young guns are most likely at least try to make some impressive moves. Okay,
and if there's a day to move, it's tomorrow. We refer to usually that as moving day. Seppo comes in with a 3 under today, and that's 7 off the pace. You have to be a little bit surprised by that as well today, right?
I am, but I still think that the tournament is young. We have still 2 more rounds to play, and we have 2 rounds that really play to Seppo's strengths, both of those courses. So we'll see.
Okay,
we'll see.
And it's great because that's a name I know. So
exactly.
So when we talk about him, I'm already on. Fun fact: I believe I filmed Seppo's first and maybe only United States win a few years ago in Arizona. So that'll be in a, I don't know, some kind of a quiz someday later for you guys. We'll give stuff away at that point. All right. Do we have a special guest? Is that what I'm seeing? Well, before we line up this special guest, there was something else going on tonight. So I have to give a precursor here, a little bit of a warning. But there was something else that was taking place just before we all arrived here. What was that?
There was a little get together, I would say, between the Latitude 64 Dynamic Discs Westside staff crew and their loyal fan base. some people have probably heard of Team Trilogy, and I personally think that it is extremely nice that there is this opportunity for the fans to meet with the guys behind the magic, so to say. It was very nice. We were having something to drink, something to eat, and also sitting in the sauna in the traditional Finnish way.
All right. Well, so I think fully clothed, we're going to welcome Tomas. Yeah. How do you want? Do you want to just join right here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just sit on the.
Oh, perfect.
Please sit on the chair and.
Do you need him to move over?
Oh, I think we're good.
Good.
I think
All right, and welcome
Yes, we're
back,
back.
everyone. Looks like we have a new guest. Can you introduce yourself, sir?
My name is Thomas Ekström. I'm from Latitude 64. I'm the disc designer, actually.
And is it true? I think I've heard in the past you have designed every disc that has come out of Latitude's lineup. Can we give you credit for that?
Yeah, you're correct.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. Yeah, it's 100 plus molds. Yeah.
We can't get too sidetracked too much, but we got to ask, where does the inspiration come from on any given mold?
That's a good question, actually, because I'm not the guy that actually comes up with all of the ideas, but I mean, in the beginning, I was the guy that actually, I want to do this and this and that, but then Dynamic and Westside came along, and they had some beliefs what they wanted, so I had to make them for them. So that's how it goes. I mean, even Latitude today is not not just me. It's it's a couple of guys that actually we are discussing what do we need next year, and with the team players, and it could be a lot of different people. So yeah. I just try to make what people want, actually.
All right. And do you have a physics background or aerodynamics or?
No, I have a background as a disc golfer. That's kind of the cool thing, because I don't think you can study aerodynamics and you can study pretty much everything, but disc golf is kind of beyond physics, or you can just study it, because it's you have to know the plastics, you have to know the molding process, you have to know so in a sense it just comes down to what do you call it,
Experience.
That was the word I was searching for. Yeah, so experience is a lot of it's very important.
Okay, I agree, and I can't imagine someone coming into disc golf that doesn't play or isn't actively involved and doesn't have the feeling that you get from throwing a disc well and knowing what you want a disc to do. So that all makes perfect sense. Do we want to talk about the amateurs, or do we have other questions? How do we want to go about this?
Actually, I have a question for Thomas here,
right.
which is,
Thank you, Thomas.
how did you like what you saw today out in the Nevas course? What did you see as a disc golfer with a lot of experience?
Do you mean the play?
Yeah. Or the course?
I could see, people are throwing insanely far today. I mean, we used to throw really far, but today you have the room to throw far. The courses are more wide open, and you can use your favorite shot almost every time, especially on those, you know, big open courses. So that's a thing. I mean, everybody's asking me because I grew up, you know, with Kenny Climo and all of those guys, and I still think that we can actually throw as far if we have the same equipment. But the courses were different.
Yeah.
So one thing I actually told one of the guys I was meeting at the course was that I wish they can, you know, use more of the nature to have this course. You know, actually see eagle hit a tree or something. So that's not a critique, but it's you know, I think we need more natural objects in the fairways instead of just ropes and OBs. That's just my personal belief. But I can see people coming to this, you know, events and see, you know, Simon throw it's like 600 feet. It's amazing, of course.
Well, and from what it sounds like we've been talking about, maybe you'll get that vision a little bit more tomorrow at the Ford course. Are you familiar with it?
No,
Okay.
I haven't seen the course.
It sounds
yet,
like there's
so.
plenty of trees to hit out there.
Yeah.
You'll be happy.
I have seen some pictures, and I have, you know, people have come to me and told me stories about the Ford course, and it looks, yeah, it's gonna be a completely different game. And Kenny Climo would crush that course.
Okay.
I told you it was technical.
Yeah. Okay. And so, how about the experience in the gallery from what people were taking in? What does that mean for you? How fulfilling maybe is that to have a gallery out here in the first day of the round or first day of a tournament in the rain, and here we are. We have fans watching people throw discs around. How does that feel for you?
It's you know, I was kind of a hot thing, you know, in the middle of the 90s, and you know, we rarely had any audiences or public at all. So yeah, it's amazing to see, you know, like 200 or 300 people just walking the first round. So you know, I think that has a lot to do with YouTube and all this. You know, thank you, Terry, for this, and yeah, it's amazing actually to see, because it's really fun to watch them, you know, play.
Yeah, we've been very blessed that if, of course, people are consuming it via YouTube, whether it's live or whether it's in post-production, but there's still something that you get from seeing it in person and hearing that disc whiz past your head. Exactly. And the agony when you know, an eagle putt, you know, either falls out or you know, drops into the basket. The excitement and the agony, you can't duplicate that when you're at home. I totally agree with that. So what's the next step for you guys in terms of supporting events and having these events be as big as they are? Is there something that's on the horizon for you?
I hope so, and I think, you know, with the growth we have on Tyyni and with the good work of Juha, I believe that, you know, people brings people, and of course we want to support that. And as a company, we have a lot of things in the dark. I would say, yeah. I mean, of course, we are, you know, looking at the future, and I think we will. Yeah, we have good things coming. I can't give away everything, of course, but yeah.
I feel like I hear that statement in the U.S. from another manufacturer and company in dynamic discs. I think Rusko has a famous line about always working on something. Does that come from that same spot, pretty much?
Yes.
What secrets do you have? We need a secret, though. A Tyyni exclusive secret.
We are coming out with a new line of discs.
You heard it here for the first time, ladies and gentlemen.
A new line of discs.
Yes.
Should we pour another beverage so we can get more details?
You can do that.
All right, let's line them up.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means a lot, actually. But I mean, we have been in a growth for like 10 years, putting out a lot of discs, and everybody's talking about auto OOP or whatever it's called. But we are looking into the future. What should we do next? And then the next thing is the next thing, and the next thing is better than the
last thing.
The last thing. So, yeah, that's what our focus. We are focusing on the future, not what we have done. Of course, we have done many good things. I'm really proud of some of the molds, and they will be here forever, I guess. But we can do different things, better quality in the future. So that's our goal for the years to come.
That sounds exactly what the great public here wants to hear.
And we mentioned the experience thing. It's not only about my experience. It's knowing the machines, knowing the plastic materials, knowing the mold makers, knowing pretty much everything. And finally we actually said to ourselves, it's time to move forward in just looking back and kind of preventing what has been. So I think we're gonna do something really good.
So I have to ask then, would you consider yourselves to be the most efficient disc golf manufacturer we have out there right now? Because that's how it feels to me. I mean, your commercial
it's
shows
a tough
me that.
question, man, because I have no clue how Discraft or Innova or who else are making their molds or whatever, and I really don't care, actually. I mean, I have to look at our factory, how we do things, how we work, and I think we are heading in the right direction. We are working at a system called Lean, which is like Toyota or whatever, just to bring more quality, make the people that work for us happier, less stress, and I think that will benefit in the end. So yeah, in a sense.
Okay,
you're right. Yeah.
Well, the one question that I have when I think about being around, not quite as long as you in disc golf, but for quite some time, we see, whether it's a Speed 14 or whatever the numbers are, really my question is, can the disc truly get that much faster? Or have we've hit a plateau with probably the technical standards and such that the disc probably can't get too much faster? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You're right about that. I don't think we can, of course we can make up a story that will, this is a Speed 30 or something.
Yep.
But I really don't think so, because you have those, measurements from the PGA and you have to respect them. And I don't see any way you can actually, make something that is really,
that much.
No.
Okay.
But I have my, I have some ideas, but I mean, a lot of people are talking about speed, but I don't think speed is not very important. The speed, combined with glide is the secret key.
Yeah.
So as far as speed, I don't think we need more speed. We could, we can go down from 26 millimeters wide rim to 23 today and still have the same distance. Then we can do something to achieve, maybe like, 40 feet more or something in shared distance. But I don't think that is the goal for anyone today. It was for a while when Innova was releasing the Boss. Everyone, we want something more, go faster and longer. But I think we all realize that that's not the way to go.
Okay. I'm going to follow that up. I'm on a roll with Might put you on the hot seat a little. What MPO player do you feel like has the best form?
Oh yes.
Just straight form, and it doesn't matter what manufacturer maybe that they throw or not.
I'm sorry, Sherry. I'm shaking here because this is one of my favorite topics.
Okay.
Because I hate that question.
Okay.
Because form.
Don't let him off the hook here. But go on.
I'm not letting him, and I'm gonna let Thomas answer this one. I'm trying to just stall you for some time to think. No, actually, form is a very interesting topic.
Okay.
And I don't think that there exists a thing such as perfect form.
Okay.
Form has tons of similarities, or good form has tons of similarities, but because our bodies are so different between or from player to player to player, there is no such thing. If you're trying to copy Simon Lizotte, if you're trying to copy Eagle McMahon, you're good doing that if your muscles are built in the same way, if your joints and your bones are built in that same way, because it's their body, it's their form. Develop your own, learn from the best, look at what they're doing, and look for similarities between the top players, and then look what works for you.
Okay, I agree with all of that. I think that's great. I very much echo those thoughts when I'm talking specifically about putting, but I echo all of those thoughts. But the question is still lobbed over to you, which is who do you feel like has, and maybe I should just slightly rephrase it and say the most efficient or the most effective form when you watch someone throw, or maybe it's just a personal preference of smoothness that you like, or grace or beauty. When you're watching someone throw, is there anyone in particular? And I'll say FPO or MPO, just in terms of their form.
I mean, this is a really difficult question. It always comes down to, what's my belief, how to throw, and what I'm teaching when I have a clinic. And of course, I can say that Ken Climber is not the best, because he has a kind of awkward, I know. But it's a difficult question. I wish I could actually say Paul Macbeth, so everybody would be happy.
But not everybody.
No, but not everybody. No, but he's pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because. He actually have a swing or whatever you can call it.
Sure.
It looks smooth. And that's a thing I look at when I'm looking at people throwing a disc. If it looks, you don't have to, use a lot of force, muscles or stuff like that. Then it looks natural for me. And Paul actually, he has a good technique. For sure.
And it seems to work for him.
That's not a big surprise.
No.
Because he's the kind of the best disc golfer in the world right now. But Simon is, he's really good. Eagle is really good. But if you look at Eagle in slow-mo, as a 49-year-old guy, I don't want to do that because I will be, laying
sore.
Down. Yeah, sore, yeah. So yeah.
Okay. No, fair.
My answer is Paul is really close to what I think is a good throw, but I would like to mention Emerson Keith, small guy, really explosive, looks effortless.
Yeah.
So he's a good guy.
Yeah, he is for sure.
Yeah, he's a good guy, but he's
a good example. I agree with that entirely. All right, let me throw the question over to the mathematician here and the analyst. Same question, though. Is there someone that you feel like just looks either smooth or effortless or just form that you would really love to emulate?
I agree with Thomas in that Paul is probably the closest in pure analytical terms. One of the throwers I really like watching play, not only because of the effortlessness, but also because there's this old, well, it's not a myth, but let's just say that there has been put a lot of emphasis that players who have really long wingspan or long arms usually tend to throw with more power or more efficiency. And then we have Drew Gibson, who throws really, really efficient considering his wingspan. I don't know what the proper term for that one is. But then if there's the one player I really enjoy watching the most, that has to be, again, because I'm a fanboy, that has to be Seppo Paju.
Okay.
Seppo is he's really
Very
clean.
smooth.
Really,
Very
very
fluid.
smooth and very,
Yeah. And I would throw right into the mix of that Paige Pierce's form, and you talk about her size and her efficiency as well.
Oh, yes.
I
Her
was thinking
form
about her. Yeah.
is just, it seems to me like, I think if I sat any male or female down and said, okay, here's someone that, you know, would be a great person to watch throw, and clearly with her size and stature, I don't know how you could go wrong if someone said, okay, I'm going to throw exactly like Paige Pierce. If you get, 2/3 of the results that she has, you're doing pretty well probably. So
I fully agree.
okay, well that was kind
Me
of a
too, me
weird
too.
side tangent. I apologize, everyone. But all right, so back to the event. We have 2 more courses now. You said you haven't seen the Ford course, but you have seen the final course, and that's here at
Sibbe.
Sibbe?
right where we are actually located right now. Do you have any wild predictions? Anything that we may or may not see over the next day or two take place on, we'll say, the MPO or FPO side? I'll even let you cheat as you look at the leaderboard here if you want to look at it.
I've looked at
Or
it,
maybe you don't
so-
need to, yeah.
No, I looked at it. I think, a guy like this, Simon can do very well on Sibbe. I think that. Simon is my favorite for Sibbe if it's close.
Okay.
But he can't, pull out like 5 strokes of eagle or Tamo or whatever. But I think he has an advantage because he has, maybe. Eagle is always, a threat or something because he can, Juha.
Inside information. Simon said the feedback about Sibbe course, it's hard and it's too much walking. And Seppo, he nailed the course last year.
Oh, yeah.
And in practice. So
okay.
7 strokes to lead. It's nothing. What was it, 5 or 7?
There's currently, currently Seppo is 7
currently,
down,
yeah.
7 down to the leaders in, who are sitting at 10 down. So he's 7 down.
My
to them.
opinion is that Seppo will shoot the hot round.
Okay, and the question is, will he be in striking distance when he does shoot that hot round? And we've got 2 big Seppo believers here. So, and I'm not saying I don't believe, but it's
I'm
great
sorry
to see.
I didn't mention Seppo because when I left the course at Nevas today, I saw Seppo 3-putted out of basket, and I was kind of, okay, he's done. But he's never done because he's a great guy, and he will shoot well on this course.
Okay.
Sibbe.
Definitely, yes.
Yes.
I would also like to use another segue, since we were talking about the gallery and the people watching over on YouTube. I think, and when you said, I think you said people create more people or something like that. I don't remember the exact phrase that you used, but I think what we're seeing together with that, the gallery watching, having people watch those top players and wanting to compete themselves, we have 726 amateurs who have competed in the rain today at a total of quite many courses. We have even 3 aces in the books, although one was from the professional divisions from Nevas, but still 2 amateur aces. Sibbe Hole 1 was aced earlier today by a forehand shot, I even believe.
I'm not sure, but then it's 4.
Okay.
There's one in Keinukallia.
Okay, and then there's
well.
one in Keinukalli also.
Yep.
Cool. So even one more for
A lot
the...
of ace.
Yeah, a lot of aces. And then, because you're always talking about your good buddies, I need to take this opportunity as well. A good buddy of mine, a left-handed player even, he managed to ace hole number 6 at Ford today. And I believe, I'm not sure, I haven't checked this yet, but I believe that time-wise, it was the first ace of the tournament.
Yeah, Knutti
Knutti Lehtinen, shout out to you, buddy.
First ace at this year's Tyyni.
Yes.
Wow. So that's some pretty exciting and incredible news. So real quickly, I say we go ahead and we're going to run down. We'll talk about some of the amateur leaders, give a little shout out to those, and then we'll maybe circle back around. My good buddy that I traveled here with is leading Pro Masters 50 plus. Sorry. We'll talk about him in a moment. But it looks like right now, how about I let you read them? Because that's so much smoother than I will. In the advance, we have a tie for the lead right now.
Yes, in the advanced division, we have a tie for the lead, 2-player tie with 5 under par. After today, we have Toni Mikael Syrjänen and Oskar Volanen playing in Sibbe today.
All right.
And then advanced women, we have Justin Bitka leading currently at 7 over.
And then tomorrow they're playing. That's where they'll be playing tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. They're playing Sibbe tomorrow,
Okay.
and they were playing Ford today.
Okay. Yeah, I
That's
don't want
right.
to confuse anyone in case you're listening. In the Advanced Masters 40 plus,
We have Harri Kaunisto currently in the lead with 1 under par.
looks like that was unofficially over there a 990 rated round, almost 100 points above his rating.
Yes.
That's a solid opening day.
I would have to agree with that.
Wow. I try and do that again, whatever you did today. Advanced Masters women.
Heidi Talumaa,
All right.
5 over. And then intermediate, we have Ville Andersson in the lead and also shooting more than 100 points above his rating, rating in 1,025 for his round today with a 5 under. So that's fairly impressive for a guy who's playing MA2.
Yeah, 1,005. Don't give him too much credit, but
Oh, was that
1,005.
1,005?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I had my cursor there. I apologize.
My eyes are getting tired.
No worries. Intermediate women.
That is Katri Pung, who is currently there in the lead with some solid shooting as well.
In recreational.
And then in recreational, the Kartano course, which is a fairly easy course, I would say, to the amateurs, and that shows also on the scoreboard. So we have Reko Kalajoki, who shot a fairly hot 8 under for today on that course. He's 881 rated, and he shot 1,000 sharp today. So that's also for MA3, I think, worth a shout out.
It certainly is. And that is leading a field of 156 competitors. Very impressive.
Yeah.
FA3.
Yeah, for the recreational women, we have from Estonia, Mari-Liis Nurmesta, who is also playing solidly, almost 100 points above her own rating, and leading the field in that one. And then for MA4, the novice men, we have Oskar Klemetti, who also shot a fairly hot round of 5 under today and shooting well over his rating since he's currently unrated. These are the first tournaments some of these players are participating in this year.
Incredible. And I'll just throw this out there to age both of us. PDGA number 123,327. So congratulations.
What's your number, Terry?
My number is 10738.
All right, so you're a 5 number.
I'm barely a 5-digiter. Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to rub it in. I feel bad about it.
It's terrible. You're a young guy.
Novice women
And
are
then for
leader.
novice women, we have Avelu Hintz, who is also leading her field by actually tied together with Elise Kettumäki with a 6-stroke lead over Kelsey Sveten, who is 3rd currently.
All right. We'll recap, I think, some of the protected men's divisions, men's and women's on the pro side real quick. If we're giving all these shout outs, which I love doing after a great opening day here, certainly recognizing these leaders on the MP 40 side. Looks like they're playing Nivas tomorrow. We have Marco
Hämäläinen, yep.
Okay, leading the FP 40 side.
We have the leader is Riitta Savolainen currently,
Tied
with Nina Rajala.
And then my good buddy and travel partner on the MP50 side. I'll do this one. Johnny Rumble Pecunia, PDGA number 20.
we bring him in?
We should. We'll
Yeah,
talk to
yeah.
him.
Take my
PDGA
space.
2540. We're gonna. We'll talk to him for just a few moments. He can come in and join us. But PDGA 2540, one of the godfathers of Wisconsin disc golf. MP60. Looks like a 4-way tie for first at +4.
Oh yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
right. I hadn't even noticed that before. That is also extremely impressive. Markku Tohni, Jukka Toikka, Reijo Rökman, and Karel
All right, now I think you're just trying to make me look
Kular,
silly.
who are the top 4 players, all tied in the same score.
All right. Well, very awesome. Thank you so much for all of those names, as I know I would not have done them justice, and we want their limelight. Joining us now here in the studio, Johnny Rumble, Johnny Pecunia from Germantown, Wisconsin. Welcome, Johnny. How are we doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
Yeah. So why aren't you in the sauna?
Because I'm here with you. And that's a great answer.
All right. So let's talk just briefly about your round today. You're out in the lead in the division. You had the earliest round of the MP 50s. So you went out at 11:50. What were the conditions like for you?
Windy and rainy to start off, and then it just got windier and rainier before it dried out a little, and then it just got windy.
Wow. And how about the temperatures?
I would say it felt like around 55-ish and probably got up to about 65 Fahrenheit.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, and that conversion is.
I can't do that conversion.
But we'll just guess. I think around 17 to 19.
you started out with the 15 degrees Celsius outside, and then it climbed up to 17.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. It was cold, and I was dressed for it, and then I was hot, and then I had to dress down for it.
See, there we go.
So a lot of different conditions out here. Tomorrow we've talked a lot about how we think things are going to be a little bit more clear, maybe a little less windy overall. And what course do you head to tomorrow?
I'll just say KK.
Okay, the KK course.
Yes.
Keinukallio.
Yes.
See, it's that easy. It's
Keinukallio.
Keinukallio, yeah.
Keinukallio.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, sounds
there you
easy.
go.
I'm only saying it once.
All right, so from one local to not so local, what would be your suggestions or recommendations for how he attacks the course tomorrow?
My recommendation is to play conservative when you must and attack when you can. But the problem in Keinukallio is going off the fairway. That is something I don't recommend. And also in the open parts, just stay between the stakes. That's all it takes.
Terry and I did a little bit of scouting out there, and we started on 8, which is a snake.
Yes, it
OB
is.
left and right, and then uphill. So it's kind of like find your zone, to drop it into and attack from there.
Exactly.
So we did 8 through basically 18, but I did not look at 2 through 7. Any comments on 2 through 7?
On 2 through to 7, they are the easier holes
Okay.
compared to what happens at 8 and after.
Okay.
Well, that's good news for you then, buddy.
Yeah. Good news for me and bad news for who's in second place? Marco?
Yeah.
From here, local?
Some other names we
Uh-oh,
can't
we're
pronounce.
smack talking
I can't
now.
pronounce. Yeah, I know. Come on, stay in your lane, as they say. Rumble. All right, you got more work to do out there tomorrow. It's been a really awesome experience tonight. We took in the burgers and beer night taking place just down the road.
Mm-hmm.
We did both partake. Johnny Rumble graciously sponsored me for a burger tonight. Dare we mention, Johnny Rumble, what did we notice? What did we notice about an oddity or something that's just very different from our culture
It's
in the U.S.?
Local flair, and Terry kind of noticed it, and then I immediately noticed it. You guys eat burgers and fries with utensils, knives and forks, yes?
Sometimes.
Oh, no, this was everybody.
Yeah.
It depends on the place. I mean, the place where we were having the beer and burger night was so fancy that it would feel
Oh.
kind of wrong not to.
Okay. We ate like animals. We had our hands around our burgers and cramming them into our mouths.
Well, that's what I did when I had the Tyyni burger also at the other place.
Okay, all right.
For there, so it kind of depends on your mood, depends on your place.
So-
But that place was so fancy that I think everybody was just trying to look civil.
Well, everyone but us.
Yeah.
Because
In the middle of the room.
I cut my burger as I normally do. I cut a burger in half, and then I eat a half at a time as I'm going. And as I looked around, I noticed someone early on was like cutting their burger up, with bun and all, cutting it up and then using their fork to consume it. I'm like, well, that seems a little odd. But then within the next half hour, I noticed every single table was consuming their burger that way. And then I pointed it out to him, and we're like, yeah, we are definitely some American animals here, as we're, So, something to learn here tonight for sure.
So if the talk is out there, it's just what we do.
Yes, that's exactly. You're like, did you see those silly Americans? They were just devouring their burger like animals.
The disc golf guy
Yeah,
and his
exactly.
cameraman.
That's what the disc golf guy was doing.
Great. That's what I needed, some controversy how I consume the food I eat. So it was very exciting, though, and it was a great atmosphere and great place to be, and it was very enjoyable. As we start to close things out, I guess I'll ask, what's in store for tomorrow besides the golf? Do we know what's all on the agenda, or do I have to check the Tyyni app?
Checking the Tyyni app is never a bad idea.
No, that is. Okay.
The app is there because of that exact purpose.
Yep. Okay. I will do just that because I feel like there's extracurriculars going on all the time.
Every day.
Here at the event. Now, I'm sure are going to be some flex starts tomorrow, or at least a flex start C tier somewhere at some time.
At least we have the ongoing marathon of trilogy challenges at the Söderkolla
Okay.
course. That is one thing that is still ongoing on a daily basis, and not only for the Tyyni participants, but for everybody wishing to participate.
Okay. And I see that if I look at the correct day, it looks like if I move over here to Friday, of course, all the various tea times, the Tyyni Ace Challenge is taking place.
That's
looks to
right.
be all day from 10 to 5.
That's right.
So everyone can do that. And then, like you just said, the Trilogy Challenge Marathon. What exactly does that mean for everyone?
It basically is a low... What do you call that? Low threshold participation event for anybody who wants to try. You are given the tools to play one course with. So you're given the discs that you're playing, and then you're using those discs only to play that round. And if you play super well, then you will get some extra rewards. As easy as that.
Okay. And is that PDGA sanctioned on that? Or
That
no,
is
the challenge is not, correct?
That is not PDGA sanctioned.
Okay.
No. So it is for everybody who just wants to, for example, try out and walk home with a couple of discs.
Very cool. Rumble, I'll ask you then.
All right.
18 holes plus a little bit of practice. Do we need to go out and play more golf? Should we do that? It's plenty light out.
Let's.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I think your arm and your back will be saying otherwise.
No, I have Advil and I have adult beverages waiting.
Well, it sounds like it. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we close out here tonight?
No, actually. I can't think of anything except a huge thank you again to everybody who has been tuning in.
I love it.
Either to this nightly recap or to the live footage that we provided earlier today. Your support is extremely important for us, so thank you for that. Join back tomorrow also for that live coverage, also for our nightly recap. We really enjoy having you here, and I'm happy.
Touching on that, what can they expect for times and coverage for live tomorrow? What's the game plan there for the shot by shot round coverage that's live, that will be live?
UDisclive.com will be following both FPO and MPO tomorrow, and then we will also have live coverage from the FPO starting, I think, 9:30, if I don't
that is correct.
Remember wrong. And then I will hopefully be able to join that for some commentary as soon as I finish my own round before that. But because I don't know when that is, it might be that we're just going to do that part without commentary. But then the lead card for MPO is teeing off at 3:10 finish time, local time, and there will be live coverage with commentary from the Ford course tomorrow from there. And also, don't forget, there will be post-production footage of the feature cards today, both for MPO and FPO in the very near future.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. And thanks for all of the hustling around. I feel like such a wimp that I only went out and covered one round of golf today when you played one round and then covered 2 other rounds of golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why you're size and I'm not. So we're going to close things out. It's been an awesome opening day here. We thank you guys for joining us. It was a lot of fun. I know we're going to have some more fun tomorrow, and we're going to have even a little bit better weather to do it in. So, of course, I want to thank Tomas Ekstrom for joining us from Latitude 64. I want to thank Johnny Rumble for not only the companionship and traveling internationally, but also for some scorching scores out there. I wish him the best of luck for the rest of the week in that MP50 division. And for Thomas here, I would also, and everyone here on the staff and the crew, volunteers and beyond, we couldn't do it without all of you. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for our nightly recap. We'll see you then.
Rumble on.